Hey everyone, this is Hermann Luttman, and I want to thank you for joining me in this unboxing of a new game by Blue Panther, and it's called The Struggle for Zorn, the Red Blight. It's designed by myself, Fred Manzo, and Ryan Heilman. It is a 1 to 5, semi-cooperative actually, fantasy war game. I can't wait to show it to you. Here's the back of the box, just to give you an idea of the overall story. Struggle for Zorn, the Red Blight, is all about the 5 houses of Zorn coming together to rid its northern province, the Sleeping Troll Valley, of the Red Blight, which has taken over. Each player plays a house, and you have to work together, travel through the Sleeping Troll Valley, and rid it of the Red Blight, and recapture lost treasures, hostages, and win a victory for the team. However, because this game is semi-cooperative, the houses win. Each player will be tallying glory points, and the one player with the most glory points is actually going to win the game. So work together, but not too much together. Alright, so here we have the contents of the game. I'll go through this rather quickly, but with some detail. This is the beautiful map. I will unfold this later and show it to you. So the game consists of numerous components. We have, this is a little set of the stands for the standees. Yes, characters will be on standees, as well as on counters. We have a deck of cards, and I'll just undo this really quickly here. These cards are what will activate the Red Blight. These are the bot cards, if you want to call it that, and on the backs you will have instructions, and these are quite varied. There will either be events, as you can see, and that might move all the Blight units. It might tell Blight units to attack, or advance, or even spawn. So these will control what the enemy does. We have lots of colorful components. We have a lot of dice. Alright, the game is, as you can see, a dice-driven game. We have 3 D10s, 3 D12s, 3 D6s, 3 D8s, and a D20. These are used for a number of things in the game, but mostly they're used for combat. Units are rated by what kind of die they roll. And obviously, the better the die, the more powerful the unit is. So we'll talk about those when we go through our example of play. These cubes are used, they're color-coded by house, and they help keep track of houses' resources, magic levels, ownership of places on the map. So we'll use these for that purpose. Alright, here we have the rule book. Now, this is a beautiful spiral-bound rule book, nicely laid out by Ryan Heilman. He did a wonderful job putting this together, and I'll just briefly show you. Don't be intimidated by the 51 pages. It's very large type, as you can see. Here's a little history of Zorn, written by David Shaw. It's full color. It's got plenty of graphics, big type, as you can see, explaining everything in the game and describing all the components. It is not a long set of rules. It's actually quite a very easy game to play. There is one scenario. One scenario covers everything because it is quite variable. And here's a list of special abilities. I'll talk more about that during the example of the game. But every unit has a special ability, and this is a summary of all that. And on the back, you have a little sample setup. People can use this as a guide to help them. This sheet here is the summary of the Red Blight unit. So every Red Blight unit has a particular special ability or power. Some have 2, and they have special characteristics. So there's an image of each of the units. And in the case of the Farseers, these are the Red Blight captains or commanders, and they will be actually on standees, and they each have 3 powers. And on the back of this is a handy magic table. The magic system here, which Fred Manzo developed, is quite unique. Every magic user has their own set of spells, but casting magic in this game is not automatic. It's actually a little bit risky. You have to roll for it. The magic user has to roll well enough to actually cast the spell, and in some cases, if you don't roll well enough, something could backfire on them and hurt them. This is the event table. As you can tell, there are 19 events, but this keeps the game fresh. There are 3 event cards in the deck, so every time you go through the deck, 3 of these will occur, and they will be sometimes horrible events, sometimes very positive events. This adds a lot of the narrative to the game flow. This kind of builds the world a little bit for you as well. It's a lot of fun, I can tell you that from our play testing. We've had a lot of fun with this table. We also have a player aid. So this summarizes everything in the game that you need to know to play the game. It's double-sided. Down here you'll see a summary of the mercenaries. These are other special forces that can come in during the course of the game, either from an event, or players can actually purchase these mercenaries with gold resources that they accumulate. And they will come in and fight for your house, or they might just pop up out of nowhere. So, very important allies. We also have the inevitable fantasy hero on the bottom who will show up due to an event, and he or she can do just about anything. These are our tracks. You're going to use these cubes that I mentioned, and every house is going to have a cube here, and this will keep track of the magic level, gold, food, supplies, and glory points. Gold, food, and supplies are resources you're going to find during the game. You're going to need them. You have to feed your people. You're going to need supplies to repair units. And gold is kind of a wild card. That can be used for anything, but it's also the most valuable to have a good stock of gold at the end of the game to help you win the game as an individual player. Alright, there are 5 counter sheets in the game. This counter sheet here, here's the mercenaries I talked about. There are some Blight units here. And these are the standees for the various heroes, and these are the Farseers. These will actually sit down in these black stands, and they'll sit up on the board very nicely. I'm going to punch these out just to show you real quickly how these work. The middle board, this is the yellow faction. This is House Luttman. This will summarize for you. When you decide to take this faction, you're going to take this board. This will summarize all the units in your faction and what their special power is. You put that in front of you. Then you will also choose a commander, which is one of the other standees, and a magic user, which is the other standee. And you will place these on either side of your faction board like this. So you have in front of you a nice display of everything your units can do, their special abilities, their magical powers, and the ratings for the standees right there. So these are all interchangeable. They're going to change every single game. So you get nice variability with the factions. Next counter sheet is, again, more factions, more commanders, more magic users. So there's 5 factions, 5 commanders, and 5 magic users in the game. And yes, you can play with up to 5 players. First counter sheet with actually units on it, again color-coded by house. Red Blight, of course, logically, is in red. The values you see along the bottom is going to be the name of the unit, an illustration, and across the bottom, I hope you can see this, is their rating for melee combat, what die they roll, ranged combat, what die they roll, and the range of the ranged combat, how far it can fire. The black number is the die that you roll for bravery, and lastly is their movement allowance. That's how many areas they can move on the map. So there's a front side and there's a battle-worn back side with a stripe across it so you can differentiate the two. And the last counter sheet, these are just mostly logistical, administrative markers. You will be looking for these treasures. They'll be scattered all over the map, and on the back you will find different things of value, hostages, and in some cases you will find traps. Try to be finding these relics. These are very important to find, because if you do not get them, the Red Blight actually scores terror points, which is bad for you. Otherwise, these are casualty markers, activation markers. Every house has its own coat of arms and color, which is displayed here. These are various special effects, wound markers, terrorized markers, entrenchments, cursed land, which can happen. You don't want that to happen. And the backs of all these have either descriptions of what they do or something else, like poisoned, flood, stunned. All these are game effects that you will come to loathe during the playing of the game. And that is everything that is in this box. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff. It is heavy, it is thick, and we just wanted to let you know that this is quite a project. Everybody put a lot of love and care into this, and that's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you like what you see. We'll do a playthrough in a moment.
The Struggle for Zorn, the Red Blight, is new from Blue Panther, available now. on www.bluepantherllc.com. Thanks for watching.